Welcome back, Oz fans. This is Erica again, and today I am bringing you commentary for the Magic Cloak of Oz. So, without further ado, let's begin. The Magic Cloak is based on Queen Zixi of Oz, written by L. Frank Baum in 1905, roughly about 9 years before this movie was made. Once upon a time, the fairies assembled one moonlit night in the ancient forest of Burzee. Here in this movie, we're going to see a lot of double exposure effects in here. The funny old man on the moon smiled down upon them. And then the fairies of Oz wove a magic cloak which would grant one wish to the person who wore it. In the book, they literally made the cloak because they were bored. They were tired of dancing. And of course they had to weave it upon a fairy loom. The home of the ferryman by the Vinegar River. I would hate to have that job. Let's see, the Vinegar River. His daughter, called Fluff, of the golden hair. Fluff Mildred Harris. His son named Timothy, but the folks all called him Bud, Violet McMillan. You'll recognize Violet McMillan from her roles as Ojo in The Patchwork Girl of Oz, and Dorothy, the children's playmate Nicodemus, if it hadn't been for Nicodemus, but that is getting ahead of my story. Fred Woodward, also a veteran of Baum's other movies. A traveler asked to be ferried across the Vinegar River. Why do you say I would hate a job like this? Because I bet that river smelled. I mean, I'm sure you've all took a whiff of a bottle of vinegar. It stinks. Imagine a whole river of it. Man, hope that guy got paid well. And after the fairies had made the magic cloak, they did not know what to do with it, so they had to ask the man in the moon. That's easy. Give the cloak to the most unhappy person you can find. And when it was finished, they rang the bell for the fairy messenger. You'll recognize they borrowed some footage from Patchwork Girl of Oz for this bit. We want you to give the cloak to the most unhappy person you can find. Al Gore? Or the children's Aunt Rivette, the late village laundress. If she looks familiar, that's because she was Mombi. Now Aunt Rivette had a sort of second sight, that she could see things happening before they really did so. And that's Mombi from His Majesty the Scarecrow of Oz. And Aunt Rivette's vision came true. And this terrible misfortune caused a big change in the life of Fluff and Bud. What was this misfortune, you ask? Oh no. And with 2 children to support, Aunt Rivette thought it best to move to the city of Noland. Or No-Land. Fluff and Bud grieving at leaving the old home, and as for Nicodemus, he just hated to go. I mean, I don't blame him. Look at all the crud he has to carry. None of them have to carry all that stuff. I mean, I don't blame him. He got a bum deal out of all that. The old king of Noland was dying, and his counselors were worried because there was no heir to succeed him. The king is dead. Oh no. And they didn't know whom to make king of Noland. If the king dies and there is no one to succeed him, the royal counselors shall go to the east gate of Knoll, and at sunrise, and the 47th person who enters the city after the gate is open, be it man, woman, or child, high or low, noble or humble, shall be hailed as supreme ruler of Noland. Why 47th? It sounds like a dice roll. They stopped to rest at an inn on the way to Knoll. And what do you think? The fairy messenger found Fluff. Are you unhappy, my dear? Leaving the old home and all that was so dear to me has made me the most unhappy girl in all the great big world. Here is a gift from the fairies. It will grant you one wish, but no more. Anyone you give it to will also have one wish granted, but if stolen, it loses its power. For those of you unfamiliar with the story, keep that in mind. If you take the cloak from that child, I will punish you severely. Come at me, Tinkerbell. No, I'm kidding. Keep your old cloak. I wouldn't touch it for the world. You say that now. It's just because you can't have it. And then all the people of Knoll gathered to choose a new king. They went to the east gate of Knoll, where the new king must enter. Oh, I just wish I could be happy once more. And they're counting. And she's happy. Come on, I want to be in town in 15 minutes. And silly old Zixie wanted to count the bears as people. The idea of bears as kings. I mean, it's not the weirdest thing I've seen in these movies. It wouldn't be, at least. Here's another reason for Mildred Harris to be as happy as she is here. This is only a couple of years short of later she would be married to Charlie Chaplin. She was the first of his wives. And here comes the big moment where their lives change forever. 46, 47. Bingo. Long live the King of No Land. Hooray! Everyone rejoices. Well, so far, for those familiar with the book, this of the three movies we've seen so far is the one that's closest to its source material. The middle starts to stray, but for the most part, it actually sticks pretty close to Queen Zixie of Ix, as well as to an actual storyline. Despite that, however, it was never really popular. Not then and not now. It's always gotten poor reviews. And then King Bud rode to the palace in the royal coach. It was not a financial success then, and even now it's not seen as a big success as a silent film. And then the old chief counselor had to read the law to the people of Knoll. Never mind the clothes, get me something to eat. Now, despite being adults, they are playing children, so we are going to see them doing a lot of kid things. No sneezing allowed on the streets. Persons wishing to sneeze must do so before leaving home. But allergy meds are a popular thing there. Anybody afraid to go home in the dark should wait until morning. All persons owing money must pay for it or continue to owe it. Wow, these people sure look happy to be in a totalitarian state. I mean, those rules seem pretty controlling. Gee, Fluff, it's fine to be a king. Yep. Mel Brooks thought so too. It's good to be the king. And then King Bud had to hold court. I mean, he's only been king for like 5 minutes. But Nicodemus didn't like Noland one bit and wanted to go home. Again, don't blame the poor guy. I think he'd be treated better. It's like, forget you guys, I'm going home. And then 2 robbers saw Nicodemus. Poor Nick. They look more like pirates to me. Does anybody else notice that? There's definitely a difference. Yeah, see, they look like pirates to me. Call me nitpicky, but there's a difference. There really is. Aunt Rivette thought she ought to be a princess. Here is where I get even for all the licking she gave me. Executioner, do your duty. Wait, they're gonna do what now? And then King Bud dismissed court so that he and Fluff could go and buy some toys. Way back in the woods was a robber's camp. And the silly old robbers played jacks. Are the robbers 5 years old? I mean, and they had stolen a nice little girl named Mary. Now that sounds more robbery. The jacks, not so much. I mean, why would they be playing jacks? You'd think they would be like at least playing cards, gambling, or at the very least doing that game with the knife between your fingers. Oh, now he's fighting. Well, anyway, this movie was completed in early September of 1914 and distributed by the National Film Corporation and seen by audiences in 1917, despite the fact that it was nowhere near popular in any sense of the form of the word. Or, unfortunately. And little Mary was awful sorry for poor Nick. It's a shame this wasn't that popular, because quite frankly, of the 3 films I've seen so far, this is my favorite. Just because Nick was a donkey, he was no fool, and he told Mary how they could get away from the robbers. This is also the first time we see an actual child in these movies. Here. Despite the fact that this wasn't in Queen Zixie, it's actually quite bombish. The fact it's playing up the child and the animal companion bit that Bombs played upon so much. And Bud and Fluff spent all the money the treasurer had for toys. And let that be a lesson to you kids. If you're going to bankrupt your entire country, this is how you do it. You don't do it on wars or anything else. And then Nick met the awful Lonesome Zoop. Oh god, not this guy again. Anyway. Yeah, you don't waste your money on wars. You spend it on toys. Oh, I hate this guy. He's creepy. He what's that guy doing in my woods? I'll fix him. You need to learn the meaning of nobody. You're just gross. Yeah, whatever Nick's doing to that tree, that's not an invitation. That's between him and the tree. Whoa. That's... Hey, Zoop, you're the reason why people think furries are perverts. And now Nick didn't know that there was a lazy lion in those woods. You'll notice a lot of the footage here of the lion is the Cowardly Lion footage used from His Majesty the Scarecrow of Oz. basically the whole middle part of this film is Nat Geo and Oz, with all the animal bits. Well, yeah, this is not something you'd see on Animal Planet. And if the lion and the Zoop hadn't hated one another, Nick would have been a goner. Yeah, now it's a Nat Geo documentary. It's like, and the first thing Nick knew, he met the friendly crow. You also recognize the friendly crow from His Majesty the Scarecrow. Now, according to Baum's canon, No Land is outside of Oz. I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll get all the animals together and lick the stuffing out of the old robbers. But here it's implying, along with the title of the film, that this is all still taking place in Oz, that No Land's a part of Oz. I mean, if anybody has some theories about that, is No Land a part of Oz in this case, or is it still outside of Oz? Leave a comment. Especially this next part is what is really confusing. See, we have a kangaroo. Yeah. I mean, we also have the cowardly lion, the Zoop, of course, and some new animals. And we also have the woozy. Say, fellows, if you must fight, come on and help whip the old robbers. Now here, with the presence of, say, like the lonesome Zoop, and the woozy, it implies that this is in Oz, as opposed to its own separate land. But Baum's original canon is that No Land is outside of the Deadly Desert. Again, leave your theories or opinions in the comments below. Personally, I just think they wanted to get their money's worth out of these animal costumes. You know, there's the Hungry Tiger right there, too. Also something you don't see on Animal Planet. Whoa, that's bad touch. Yeah, we got escapees from the petting zoo here. Ugh. I feel more sorry for that donkey has to bite his butt than the actual robber. Heh. I know the robbers have stolen my little Mary, and I will never see her again. Man, they were that close to the house? That's where I live. I'm ever so much obliged to you. They make it look like she was like 100 feet away from her house. Like her family couldn't just walk over to the robbers and get her themselves. I mean, granted, the robbers were scary, but they played jacks for for crud's sake, they can't be that menacing. He and the other kind animals saved me from the robbers. Zixi, queen of the country of Ix. While Zixi looked young, she was really 683 years old. But now Zixi had offended some higher power and was compelled to carry a mirror in which her real age was always reflected. Oh God, she looks like Madonna. Yeah, you should be ashamed. Because he was lonesome for Bud and Fluff, Nick had to say goodbye to Mary. The minstrel sings of the magic cloak that gives its wearer one wish. If you recognize this cloak belongs to Princess Fluff. 'Tis woven of some magic stuff. If you its wearer chance to be, one wish the cloak will grant to thee. If you recognize that minstrel, that's Princess Gloria from His Majesty the Scarecrow. And Zixi thought if she could just get that cloak, she would wish to be beautiful in a mirror. Zixi knew she couldn't go as a queen, so she turned herself into a maid. That really require magic. You could have just, went to the store. Because 10 maids were not enough, Princess Fluff had to have another one. Wanted, a competent maid for Princess Fluff. And Zixi asked for a job as maid to the princess. Ugh. I guess they don't have an HR department. Ugh. Ugh. Madonna? Yeah. See, there's the ant again. Here you could really tell. You can really tell where she got the. You can really tell she was Mombi there. That's my new maid. And they're gone. And then Zixi stole the cloak. Oh, she's busted. Boom. Ow. What's that thing made of? And they had vampires even in those days. Which... So I get that she is being all seductive, but that's hilarious. Still not quite sure what that has to do with vampires. And then Zixi changed back to queen and used the cloak to make a wish to get rid of the ugly reflection. What does that have to do with vampires? That's a succubus at the very least, which is kind of like a vampire, really. But seriously. By the way, that's the fairy messenger behind her. When you say vampire, I'm expecting a bloodsucker. She makes the wish. She still looks like an aging rock star. But the fairy messenger told her that because she had stolen it, the cloak would not grant her wish. And so she's feeling sorry for herself. And the Raleigh rogues, rough, round rascals, ranging in the rugged rocks of the mountains above the clouds. Try to say that 3 times fast. Yeah, look. They look like Oompa Loompas to me. The Raleigh rogues have no judgment. The silly things eat buttons and hairpins, but oh, how they love soup. Uh-huh. Oompa loompa doopa dum. The one day the clouds rolled away, and the Raleigh rogues saw the city of No Land below him. Notice they keep switching it No Land and Knoll. Weird little continuity error. This is where the real trouble starts. And he came and told the other Raleigh rogues what he had seen. You know, I bet you could make a neat little cosplay out of one of those, like using one of those sumo wrestler inflatable costumes. And just because they wanted a new kind of soup, the Raleigh rogues decided to attack No Land. He definitely wouldn't have that rolly, bouncy quality, but definitely have the shape. Zip, bing, up go the Raleigh rogues. And the Raleigh rogues captured No Land. Because all those soldiers from earlier were just for show. I mean, let's find the magic cloak and wish the Raleigh rogues out of town. Well, aren't they in for a surprise? The princess, failing to find either her cloak or the new maid, sets forth with King Bud to find them. Here's where they ask the minstrel, what if we can just find the magic cloak, it will bring the end of our troubles. She points him towards Zixie. And you can see the hoops in their costumes. Uh-oh. He caught the wrong time to end up there. Wait a minute, I see, like, soldiers with weapons, and they're just running away from the Raleigh rogues. Ooh. Excuse me, you were being very rude. Yeah. See, they can be taken down by a donkey, but a bunch of soldiers with spears and stuff can't. So the logic doesn't really make sense here. Meanwhile, in Ix, won't you please give us our magic cloak so we can wish the Roly Rogues out of Nolan? Typo. Nolan. Noland. Or Knoll. It's not called by either of those here. They keep changing the name. Why I threw it away? Now Fluff felt sorry for poor Queen Zixie and offered to give her the cloak if she could find it. Why'd she feel sorry? I would be so ticked. I would smack her. Give her a witch slap. Dame Dingle found the magic cloak. Dingle. Nicodemus asked the witches to help him, and what do you think? They wouldn't do it. Now you'll recognize this footage from, again, His Majesty the Scarecrow, though I don't know why they just threw that in here. It doesn't quite make sense, and it's never mentioned again. Dame Dingle went to work and cut up that magic cloak. Uh-oh. And a jolly sailor man bought a piece of it with which to make a necktie. Ooh. Uh-oh. The whole nation is in danger because you cut up the magic cloak. And yes, this all happened in the book. And the Roly Rogues just made those frightened villagers make them some soup. Well, not that part. Or maybe they did. Well, one piece is gone, but maybe the cloak will grant my wish. I sold that piece to a jolly sailor man. At least it wasn't a salty seaman. And once more, all the animals came to help Nick, and they went to drive the Roly Rogues out of Noland. So at least the animals come back. Now Fluff and Bud with Zixie looked and looked for the jolly sailor man. So at least this makes sense that they actually came back together. In some of the other movies, it's a lot of non sequitur animal bits, but here it's like them meeting before. Actually, it acts as like a Chekhov's gun. Kind of. 100 pieces of gold for a bit of silk. And then, by the aid of the magic cloak, the Roly Rogues were all driven out of Noland. I mean, you would think the animals had something to do with it too. I mean, it definitely wasn't the people. I mean, they definitely didn't help. The soldiers, all the guys on horseback with the spears, they definitely did. So the fairies have returned. The fairies have sent for the magic cloak. You mortals do not use it wisely. That's a little harsh. Wait a minute, please. I haven't had a wish yet. That's Bud. I wish I could be just the very best King Noland has ever had. Didn't I tell you, if it hadn't been for Nicodermus and his friends, are they just gonna leave it at that? Seems like a bit of a hanger there. Anyway, gives the cloak back to the fairies, and that is that. And they all hail King Bud. Nicodermus is a hero to the animals. The end. Once again, that was the Magic Cloak of Oz, produced by the Oz Film Manufacturing Company in 1914. Directed by J. Farrell McDonald and written by L. Frank Baum. If you enjoyed this, please like and subscribe, and keep an eye on this channel for more updates. See you next time.